The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. You're tuned into Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Newry. This is Erin Green, but I promise you Newry could be back on Monday. He get held up in Long Island, a couple of internal immigration issues as well. I mean, I told Newry I wouldn't risk trying to bring a whole beach back to New Providence. I just wouldn't risk it. You know, it's just so hard to hide. You try and get on the plane or the boat. But Mr. Newry will be back with us on the other side of the weekend. We've got lots to talk about today. Again, another open line. The numbers to call, 323-6232, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4316, 325-4259, 325-4259, 242-300-5720, 242-300-5720 for toll-free for Family Island listeners. And the text line is always 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. Okay, before we transition to a new story, this digital ID, the biometric information, there is a story in today's, I think in yesterday's media from the unions push back against PHA plan to replace badge swiping with fingerprints. Key unions representing healthcare workers are pushing back against the PHA's plan to replace badge swiping with biometric fingerprint scanning, arguing the move is not only unlawful, but raises serious privacy concerns. The PHA announced the planned switch in a notice to staff last week, advising that fingerprint enrollment will begin on Monday, December the 1st. The authority said ID badges will no longer be used to clock in and out. Instead, employees will use their fingerprint template to record their time and attendance, a move union says violates the Employment Act. Staff were also advised that they would be issued updated ID badges to meet international standards and enhance security. Bahamas Public Service Union President Kimsley Ferguson, whose union represents PHA support staff, clerical workers, laboratory, and morgue employees, opposed the changes yesterday, saying he's written to PHA officials warning of the legal breach. He also plans to advise workers to ignore the directive. In the letter written to PHA officials, he cited Section 67 of the Employment Act, which states that no employer may require an employee as a condition of employment or continued employment to provide fingerprints or undergo a lie detector test. The letter was also copied to Labor Minister Pierre Glover Roll and other officials. Quote, "The law is the law." Close quotes, Mr. Ferguson told the Tribune yesterday, quote, "It's very disappointing to know that this is a government that is having a disregard for the law," close quotes. Bahamas Nurses Union President Muriel Lightmore also opposed the plan yesterday, raising not only legal concerns but privacy fears as well. She said she became aware of the proposal last year, but believed it wouldn't be implemented after raising objections to its legality. Quote, "I cannot agree something that's going to ask us to go against the law," close quote, she said, adding that the union sees no need for the switch. She said officials already have cameras to verify who is clocking in, along with other measures. She questioned where employees' biometric information would be stored and whether the PHA had fully considered the privacy risks involved. In its statement, the PHA acknowledged the importance of protecting staff data, assuring that fingerprint templates are stored as encoded information and linked only to employees' HR IDs. The authority added that the system improves accuracy, eliminates buddy punching, and streamlines attendance tracking. Still, both union leaders insisted their members will not be forced to provide fingerprints. Mr. Ferguson also warned that if the PHA intends to proceed, the union is confident the court would have no issue granting an injunction, adding that the authority could also expose itself to liability. Dr. Sherelle Lockhart, president of the Consultant Physician Staff Association, said that although the policy doesn't apply to her members, she stands in solidarity with the other unions. She added that the CPSA would also reject the measure if it affected them. PHA Managing Director Dr. Aubenette Roll declined to comment on the matter when contacted yesterday. Okay, see, here's my problem. See, I ain't worried about Vado. I'm not worried about Vado that just finished 7 high-tech computer classes at a tertiary institution here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I'm not worried about him hacking into PHA's system and taking the fingerprint data. What are you going to use it for? What I am concerned about is the state's capacity and ability to protect data from international and foreign threats, external threats and hackers who can then take our fingerprints and engage in all kinds of nefarious activity like creating other biometric cards in other parts of the world. And then individuals can purchase these the cards with this biometric data to commit crime. To go criming, right? Like, can the state prove its capacity to protect the data? If you cannot prove your capacity to to protect the data, and there are other measures available to you that are equally effective, then why would you take the risk with people's biometric data? Here's the next thing. What is the law? Where is the law authorizing the collection of biometric data for this purpose? Is there a law that allows biometric data already in the passport system to be used by the PHA for this purpose? Can you force someone to give their fingerprint, right? You know who also collects our biometric data? United States Embassy collects our biometric data. Is there legislation that allows the government to collect biometric data from anywhere on its citizens' biometric data from anywhere it's stored? Right? Like, these are things that because of the risks associated with the theft of biometric data, these are conversations that the government must have. The same thing with the electoral process. Where is the legislation that authorizes the collection of biometric data for this specific purpose? Does that legislation say that the Parliamentary Registration Department could collect the data from the passport office without the individual's consent? Right? Is there legislation that says that the government owns the data once they collect it and can do with it what it wants? Right? How does the government protect that data? If a private company begins to use a security system that requires access with biometric data, is there legislation to prevent the sale of said data to third-party entities? Is there legislation that mandates a baseline level of technology with the intent of protecting our data? Here's a text. Great show. We just add all of the information to the chip in our NIB card. Wasn't that what it was created for? Where is the legislation that says that the NIB card shall contain biometric data? See? These are things that the government has to answer. They have to answer them. They have to answer them. Because if it turns out that I'm trying to fly to a foreign jurisdiction, I get to the foreign jurisdiction, and upon entry and processing with their immigration services, I am detained because somebody have a file in their police department where they've been trying to identify these prints that they found on the scene, or the prints attached to this biometric card that was used to access this building. Ma'am? it is all important. These are all important conversations, and conversations that I expect to emanate from the Ministry of Social Services, Broadcasting and information portfolio, as well as the Ministry of National Security. So we were talking about Fox versus Bastion, but there's also Wilson, we got crumbs. The Bahamas Union of Teachers is contemplating taking a strike vote after the union's president, Belinda Wilson, claimed yesterday that members received crumbs after waiting months for long-promised salary adjustment payments. Now, see, when I look at the paper and I see these two headlines, one, OPM defends size of salary increase, and Davis government defends $20 million annual price tag for pay rises as unions cry foul. I don't think that the unions are crying foul about the $20 million, like the amount that it was $20 million. I think they're crying foul about the allocation of the money. Like who got what and how much did they get and who didn't get anything, right? And I think, so I'm wondering, like, we can read from them as well. Why were the headlines framed in that way? Does that emanate from what was said in the article, right? Because I read in this headline, we got crumbs. I don't think it suggests that they think $20 million, right? Like who? It's not the 20 million, it's the allocation. Who got what? Who got what? Because I got this article here. I like to keep it on hand. I think for this purpose, let me see if I could find it, right? About the allocation of government resources. Here it is. The article is BPSU president calls on members to march on House of Assembly in protest over unresolved issues. Eyewitness News, 8th of October. President Kimsley Ferguson noted that some permanent secretaries receive responsibility allowances greater than the entire annual salary of workers, such as janitors, messengers, general service staff, and clerks. And so I have the question, was that a savvy way to implement a pay raise without calling it a pay raise? When you get the responsibility allowance, like when you get the pay stub, does it indicate on the stub what the extra responsibility you took on was? How more extra was it from the responsibility that's attached to your base pay, right? I just wanted to read that. I don't think it's the $20 million that people are upset about. I mean, people who are reading the articles, that is. Wilson said the union still has not received a response to its letter to Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis over the issue, which was sent on October 15th. Quote, we still await the written response from the Prime Minister on the list of items inclusive of the salary increase and the space of the salary review, close quote, she said. This is a reminder to all members of the BUT to complete the survey, the poll that we are taking on the two questions. Question one is, should we take industrial action because of the myriad of concerns that are outstanding? And two, should we take a strike vote? In June, Davis announced that public servants across all levels were slated to receive pay raises this year, one at the end of June and the second in September. Stick a pin. Because I had people stop me and I had callers call in to the show to say, why are they in the street protesting? The Prime Minister told them December. And I made the point that the initial date was September. That's why they were there in September, because there was an expectation that payments would be made in September. I can read that sentence again from the Guardian article, Wilson, we got crumbs. In June, Davis announced that public servants across all levels were slated to receive pay raises this year, one at the end of June and the second in September. In September, however, the government announced that civil servants who missed adjustments would receive their pay raises in the December pay period, retroactive to September 1st. Let's transition to the second article. Unions slam pay rise as crumbs, with some workers receiving nothing. This is Nassau Tribune, same day yesterday. right? Union leaders are slamming the government's salary increase rollout for some public officers, with one president calling it crumbs and others saying some workers received nothing at all, right? So why is the government framing it in this way, like they're defending the 20 million, but some people didn't get anything at all? And what did the senior civil servants get this year? Because that article, the article I read from, right? There's another one I have, but it goes all the way back to 2023. The first time I saw the reference to responsibility allowance, and some senior civil servants, their responsibility allowance increased by almost 50%. Not 50% though, but close. It's close. And so what are unionists supposed to do? They protested. The people cry, say, why y'all being so this way and disruptive? And you didn't see the Prime Minister spoke? Didn't the Prime Minister say he's going to meet with you? Didn't the Prime Minister say he's going to send you the letter? Let me read from that article, Wilson, we got crumbs. Wilson said the union still has not received a response to its letter to Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis over the issue, which was sent on October 15th. That's 1 month plus half a month ago. Yeah. So let's continue reading from the article, Union Slam Pay Rise as Crumbs, with some workers receiving nothing. BPSU President Kingsley Ferguson told the Tribune yesterday that he had been inundated with calls from disappointed employees, including police officers, support staff, finance, and accounting staff. Quote, I'm trying to wrap my head around what the government is doing, close quotes, he added. Meanwhile, BUT President Wilson described the pay increases, which she said ranged from $150, $200, and $341 as crumbs, and urged teachers to stay tuned for possible industrial action. Okay, so it's right here when they say has been inundated with calls from disappointed employees, including police officers, support staff, finance, and accounting staff. So I want to just get a sense for a second of the process. So you telling me that people, like the way that people knew that they received a pay increase is because they went to the bank to check and the money was there? Like they didn't get a formal letter from the ministry responsible indicating that they would receive a pay raise on this date and this is the specific amount? And other individuals didn't get a letter indicating that you have not been included in this phase of the salary review, or you will not be receiving an increase at all, and here are the reasons why? Like nobody got any of that? See, when we talk about systemic violence and structural violence, does this fit within the category of structural financial violence? Y'all don't even get a letter to say what's going to happen? Producer, let's prep that caller. Here's a text as we prep the caller. The question isn't, is there a law? Because they could go in the House on Tuesday and pass legislation in 10 minutes. The real question is violation of privacy rights, hold on, and reasonable concern that the government can protect the data from leakage, law notwithstanding. Good morning. How you doing, Bremen?
Hello, good morning.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
Fine, and you, Aaron?
I'm good, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have a talk with you. I listen to you every chance I get, and every day the Lord allow you and I to live to hear, because you have very interesting person.
Thank you.
Yes. Aaron, even if the pay was as small as it is, why government still takes so long to pay some of them? And this is a disgraceful government running this country at this time. Because the Freedom of Information Act, what they campaign on, they haven't done anything about that as yet.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't understand them. You know, and I said, and I'll say again, we had a Moses take us to the promised land in Linden, and we haven't yet found a Joshua to take us across it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they dishonest, very, very bad. And the Lord is watching all things. Not some things, all things, because he create those with making his problem and creating them and treating behemoths like dogs and hogs. And they supposed to be behemoths, but they say they are other people too. Bodies makes no difference. We all are human. But treat this country the way it ought to, like the Lord give it to us.
Yes, sir. Thank you very
Anyway,
much.
that's my contribution for this morning.
Thank you very
I'll sit
much,
and
sir.
listen.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm going to transition quickly. Well, no, let's continue reading from this article. It's spicy. Unlike the food served to patients at PMH, union slam pay rise as crumbs with some workers receiving nothing. Nassau Tribune, yesterday's edition. I just want to read this part here just because it tickles me. Economic Affairs Minister Michael Halkitis declined to comment, directing the Tribune to Labor Minister Pia Glover-Rule, who did not respond to calls or messages seeking comment. That was a very interesting one. Here's another one. Mr. Brooks said he contacted the department's Human Resources section to determine the criteria for those who qualified for the payment, but was referred to the account section, which said the matter was handled by the Treasury. He said finance representatives could not confirm whether the exercise was complete or if those who did not receive any payment today would get it in December, the previously announced date. I mean, I don't know. Is it that they understand the letter of the law but not the spirit of the law? You know, that like that little cultural, that legal cultural thing? Like you understand the letter of the law but not the spirit of the law. Okay, I want to transition quickly before we get to Fox. Oh, look at that caller. You caught me right in time. Then we're going to, after we talk to this caller, we're going to read sickle cell patient left, quote, lying in urine, close quotes, overnight after surgery at PMH. Good morning, caller.
Ms. Green.
Yes, sir.
This payment thing that the people got on the payment of this month, I am now understanding that this is just not a one-time thing. This is a increase on their salary.
Yeah.
So they're getting this every month from here on in.
Right, because that's what a salary increase is.
That's what it is.
Yes,
so
and
I before to get a salary, I wish I could have gotten it because I before to get $250 increase on my salary than to get $1,500 lump sum.
See,
because now this goes on until the next increase.
See, but here's the thing. The way that the state talks about it is almost as if it's a gift out of the goodness of their hearts and their personal wallets. This a legislative process. Yes, sir.
Please, Ms. Green, let's not worry with this gift no more.
It's not a gift.
Okay?
It's not a gift. It's what they're entitled to. It's not a gift. See, Philip Edward Davis, he's been pulling this money out of his own personal accounts. And it's not a decision that they just sat down and said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to just give the people more money every month because we are good, kind people. Right? These guys have industrial agreements. Commitments have been made. But further to that, to suggest that it's a gift suggests that the government alone decides whether salaries increase or not. Not the economics, not the economic landscape, not what's required to live, not making sure that people have a wage that they could live on. Like as inflation increases and all the costs increase, you must ensure that the worker's salary increase. Like, this is not a gift. But it's because it has been framed as if it is a gift. Right? See, the political narrative overwhelmed what is policy. That's it. Call I sorry. I sorry, caller. That's my bad. Call back, man. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720, 242-300-5720 is toll free for Family Island listeners. Good morning, caller. Oh, caller, you hear that? We going to the break. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk some more. But I want to know what's the difference between Bastion's public statements and Fox's public statements. both being ambassadors. We're going to a break. Callers, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Join the Bahamas Heart Association for its inaugural golf tournament, proudly presented by Visa and Fidelity Bank on Sunday, November 30th at the spectacular Royal Blue Golf Club. Every swing brings hope and healing to young hearts. Gather your team and play with purpose or make a donation. Tee off for tiny hearts because every heartbeat deserves a chance. For more details, contact the Surfing the Sassoon Heart Foundation at sassoonheartfoundation.org.
1 in every 4 Bahamians face some level of food insecurity. AML Foods remains committed to helping, and this year, through our Feed 5,000 program, will donate $50,000 to provide holiday meals for families in need. But we need your help. From November 3rd to December 17th, show your support and donate at the register at Solomon's, Cost Right, Fresh Markets, Eleuthera Markets, Exuma Markets, or Domino's Pizza in New Providence, Grand Bahama, or Exuma. Together, let's put an end to hunger.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Good morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Newry. This is Erin Green behind the mic today. By Monday, I find that song that say, "Ba-da-na-na-na, I'll be gone." I got a call on the line. They've been waiting from the break. We're going to go straight to them. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I hope it's me on the line, Belinda Wilson.
Good morning, ma'am. You are on the air.
Yeah, you prompted me to call, and the last caller also. I'm going to try to speak as quickly as I can.
Yes, ma'am.
I will repeat this over and over. The Bahamas Union of Teachers and the Bahamas Public Services Union, we never said that we negotiated the salary increases that the Prime Minister has paid. What we stated is that in our various industrial agreements, there is a clause that speaks to a salary review being conducted.
Mm-hmm.
So the Prime Minister and his team said that they conducted a comprehensive salary review. That's an untruth, because the salary review was only conducted for middle management and technical persons. Moving along. The gentleman that called just now said that people should be happy that they're getting $200 or $250 added to their base pay. That is not true. They are getting a double increment. The increments are $37.50. The increments are $41.66. The increments are $58.33. I also want to speak to what you raised. You said, and you're so correct, that monies are paid on persons' salaries when the government did not have the decency, first of all, to respond in writing to a letter written by Belinda Wilson and Kimsey Ferguson requesting the listing of who's being paid, how much they're being paid, and when. And further to that, they put money on your account that they did not write to you individually as an employee and say, hey, you are getting X amount. The Prime Minister also, in the meeting that we had with him, never said that there was going to be a double increment paid. He said the methodology that will be used, which was reiterated by his permanent secretary, Janice Miller, the methodology that would be used for the 17,000 civil servants would be the same methodology used for the senior officials. That was that you will get calculations between 2% and 8% salary adjustment. Again, it's not a gift. It was supposed to be based on a comprehensive salary review that they never conducted. So the salary review document that they gave to us is incomplete because it only includes middle management and up. Let me say this last thing. Again, I want to educate persons. Whether it's the PLB government, the FNM government, or whomever, no employer has the right to change the terms and conditions of service of an employee that is under a bargaining unit that is represented by a bargaining agent, which is the union. Where there's a raise, where there's a salary deduction, whatever it is, no employer can unilaterally make changes without consultation with the union. Consultation means a discussion that after the discussion, it derives a position or decision that is agreed by both parties. So you're political operatives who can't think. God gave you a brain. Use your brain. And as you use your brain, you look at what the union is saying, you look at what the government is saying, you weigh it, and you come up with, okay, this is right, this is wrong, okay, I understand. So I hope some of you keep calling the talk show talking foolishness over the last couple of days, and some of the hosts, not on Guardian, on some other shows, who are showing their ignorance and lack of knowledge. They need to go and do research. They need to read. They need to understand so that when the union speaks, we have a position. And our position is also led by our members, our industrial agreement, policies, and laws. That's all I have to say for right now. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was the president of Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson. There we go. Oh, boy. We're going to the next caller right now. Good morning, caller.
Miss Green.
Hi, sir.
Listen to me.
Yes,
if
sir.
the union, them trying to single-hand hold these people, tell the people give the money back there in a sense they did not know.
That's not what
the government to say give the people the money.
No, that's not what she's saying.
Tell the union people, tell the people, give the money back to the government and tell the union people have a discussion with the government. That's all they have to do.
Don't go. So give it back to the government, not to Brave, right?
If they're thinking
the
only way the government
my question
give
specific.
people money, if they have a discussion with them,
I don't want to push the button twice.
With them, tell the people,
I don't want to push the button twice.
Give the government back the money.
Okay,
that's all they have to do.
I got to push the button now. All right, so if they're giving the government back the money, then it wasn't a gift, right? Let's just get that off the table. If they're giving the government back the money, it's not a gift because the government don't give out gifts, right? Even in the United States of America, they have rules around the gifts that the state actors could receive, right? And surely they have rules around how money is dispersed from the Treasury. It's the same thing here. It's not a gift. It's not a gift. I think we do this thing in this country where it's like we implement mechanisms for the purpose of satisfying an external gaze, and internally we have no care or concern about how they function. I got another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hi, Miss Grant.
Hi.
Tell me something. Mm-hmm. Tell me something. That union is collect all kind of money from these people. Mm-hmm. It's Christmas time. Mm-hmm. Why don't the union give them something back and always begging the government?
That's good. So hold on, pause. But it's two separate things. Hold on. Two separate things. Unions don't ever beg governments. Pause. Second of all, the unions could give back and at the same time demand that the state follows through on its legal and contractual obligations to employees and laborers in the country. We could do both.
Ms. Green, I was hearing you saying something earlier, right? Mm-hmm. What you doing extra that deserve extra money? Mm-hmm. Are you giving the public better performance, better service? Mm-hmm. You know, they need. If you go in the private sector and you pull in your rate, you're going home and the government can't help you.
Yeah, and I just want to know the rationale. Like at this point, I'm not going to say they don't deserve the money. At this point, I just think that if you're going to give first of all, if you're going to have a perk called a responsibility allowance for senior staff, right? Given the fact that senior staff salaries already reflect the nature of the responsibility that they take on in that role. If you're going to create a perk called a responsibility allowance, which appears to me, a novice, to be a workaround for a salary increase, if you're going to give them a responsibility allowance and then increase the responsibility allowance in some cases coming close to 50% increase, you don't think a rationale, just tell me why. What is the extra responsibility that this individual has taken on to warrant, right? To warrant this increase. Yeah.
I agree with you because I work in the private sector all my life. If you don't pull your weight, you don't get no raise, and you going home, Aaron. So we got to start pumping up these lousy people what ain't want to put in a hard day's wage for hard day's pay. You know, but that's why the Haitians get the job. They come to work.
Yeah. See, it's all about perspective. The guy had the analogy. Thank you very much, caller. I really appreciate your contribution. The analogy of the totem pole, right? And the Bahamians, you can't get at the top of the totem pole. That's because you waiting for somebody to bring the stairs out for you. The migrant in this situation says, oh, that's hard to climb up, but I got one little axe because I cut wood in my pocket. And the migrant can start chipping little footholds and handholds in the totem pole to make their way up, as opposed to just sitting and complaining that there are no stairs. And then it gets even better. We got some savvy migrants. While the Bahamians are here complaining that ain't nobody bring the stairs for them to climb to the top of the totem pole, the migrant go build the stairs and then sell it to the Bahamian. And then the Bahamian could get upset. Like, why they meet the Haitian at the top of the totem pole? Well, because the Haitian had to climb to the top of the totem pole to assess how high the stairs he was building for you to get up needed to be. Good morning, caller.
Wow, there's a lot going on this morning, but I am calling as a teacher who's spent all my life teaching and has worked abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And abroad, teachers are just not perceived or treated the way the certain callers are calling in. There are contracts that are made, and I'm not even touching on what the government is doing. I'm just speaking from the point of view of somebody in the classroom, as I've been all my life, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And as you know under what conditions you're working, you know when you will get a raise, and that's basically how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if there is a union that is fighting for you to get that raise, and yet you are being perceived as doing something wrong, and then it's getting mixed in with why the Haitian, like everything is getting mixed up, you know? And so it's very sad to see how little support teachers get, how little respect they get, and yet there is demand that they do miracles and bring out perfect children when the adults themselves on the air and on the road and in the home give such poor examples. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Producer, let's go to the next caller, and then we could get to some texts. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Ms. Grange, Alan Johnson.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to go back to the ID system, but if you watch the video, we could solve all this problem in 6 months to 1 year that we have, if you understand. I know the people are calling. The people who are calling about ID, which is data, I guarantee you they don't know how to spell data or data. Okay?
Man, I part of them.
No, I'm just simply, I'm saying.
I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it. I don't know. Okay. I see the value and efficacy that arises from the implementation of a digital ID system, right? My concerns are that we very rarely focus on ethics on the cutting edge.
No,
but go on.
No, but let me ask you a question. You asked a whole lot of questions, and I wrote them down. Not a single one of them was yes. There is no data protection laws that protect the data in the sense of the world we live today. There is no biometric data protection. The government refused to reveal the security protocols that they supposedly have built in. All of these different things that in a data-enriched environment that you would be part of the public domain, it has. We do not have data protection from 2003 to now that protects the data in our country today in the manner for which it needs to be protected, nor does it mandate any of these. There's no biometric law. There's no biometric law for collection, sharing, or anything of that sort. None. But if you do it correctly, even the United States will be subject to our biometrics law and their collection process, the same way the GDPR and California law protect.
Now, see, but listen, I got another call.
That's what I'm saying to you.
I'm going to ask you a question right in that space right there, right? There are no laws. There's no legislation outlining the space. But so hold on. With your experience of what happens in other jurisdictions, right? Is it likely that the government, policy-wise, is saying to themselves, well, there's no law saying that we could do it, but there's also no law saying that we cannot do it. So we just do it. Do you see that reflected in other jurisdictions?
Right, but see, what happens is we are now in a digital world. And so the laws haven't been updated to support the interpretation in the digital format. So yes, the laws may be there, which the Constitution mandates, can be interpreted as digital. But the problem is we haven't updated the law to define the digitization process into it. So because you haven't defined it, it isn't there. But technically, if I was to take it to court and we was to have an argument concerning the constitutional protection that I should be given, I guarantee you I would win.
Okay, listen, see, Mike, Alan, I got to go. I got to go to this next call. I got to go to the break. I was just thinking that's like how when numbers was illegal, the legislation actually said the ball, the bag, dropping the ball, those are the acts that are illegal. So the fact that they didn't rewrite the legislation to address the new technology in the industry, that the old legislation just kind of fell away because that old technology no longer exists in the industry? Like, is that why things is just things? Anyway, that's what I wanted to ask you, C. Allen. I got to go to this next caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning.
Yes, as Ms. Wilson break it down for all the callers and all the political operatives that are taking up for what the government has done. Some of them don't seem to, I think, read or listen or understand the methodology on which the administration said they use. Do they understand that when she says this $30-something and all the rest of that, that's on a monthly basis that they're getting paid? Because they get paid monthly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're here talking about give the money back. Well, why don't they ask beaches and parks to give the $179,487.18 to each constituency when you
break down the $7 million overrunning?
The $7 million. Yeah, the $7 million when you level it out. And you know he ain't do that all by himself. Right?
Well, I mean, listen, it's hard to overrun a budget by $7 million by yourself, right? Like that ain't. We look at that as incompetence. I don't think that's incompetence. You said a lot of interesting things there that I wanted to get into, but we got to go to a break, man. Carl, I see you just lit up the board, but we're going to a break. Producers can talk to you right now. Man, you said something there, sir, that I wanted to get into. But yeah, $34 a month ain't nothing. I mean, it's something to people who live in abject poverty. But yeah.
Are you searching for something new? Something exciting? Your dream job in paradise? Well, look no further. Royal Beach Club Paradise Island is hiring. Join a dynamic group of passionate hospitality professionals, craft unforgettable moments, and thrive in a vibrant, welcoming atmosphere. Play your part in shaping the future of our team while growing your own career every day. Bring your energy, your passion, and your creativity to a workplace that's as dynamic and fun as you are. At Royal Beach Club Paradise Island, the opportunities don't just exist. they're limitless. So are you ready to find your perfect fit? Visit Royal Beach Club at paradiseisland.com/career today and step into a world of exciting possibilities.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Good morning. Welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. Producer, oh, there you go. The caller's been holding over the break, so let's go straight to the caller. Good morning.
Ms. Green.
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
I see what the union is doing, but the say is little pitting and stuff like that is no money what they get.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Ms. Green, how do we know how much these people get? Some say they ain't get nothing. People who ain't getting nothing should go and to the government or wherever they supposed to go say, listen, I ain't get nothing, But when these individuals go to the bank, we don't know how much they get on their check. I could say I work for the government. I could say they only give me $150. Will I be maybe not? Will I be telling them the real truth? Mm-hmm. So sometimes all these things is caused mystery and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what the government really put on these people's salary. Only what a lot of people are saying, and it got to be proved. Now, the union is doing what they're supposed to. But, Ms. Green,
Yes,
what
sir.
have the union done for 40 years for his own members? Christmas coming, Ms. Green, they ever sow back some seed back into these members and say, listen, we're going to give you all back 2 months' salary or stuff like that? All they doing is just taking and taking, And it is so wrong.
So
it is so wrong not even able to say to have a card that they can go to the food store on the Christmas, get a ham or a turkey.
Or
They don't
get a
them
Christmas
members.
discount or something.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
I got you. So they're not wrong in their agitating on behalf of their members, but the unions themselves can improve their efficiency, or they could be working better and doing more to provide support for members. I saying if I was in a union, I would encourage my union to start income generating mechanisms, right? And so, like, I live in Nassau, tire shop, but better than that, I live in Nassau. In fact, I getting ready to start me a road cleaning business in a second, right? And I gonna get me a contract from the government. But what I can do is I can wait until they go abroad to a fancy meeting, and I can say it in public in the fancy space. Because in fancy spaces, right, they are in countries that have basic services already handled, where people are paid to clean the roads after an accident, to remove any hazards from the road so you don't have another accident in the same spot, right? Stuff like that, right? If I were in a union, that's what I would be doing. Anyway, let's go to the phone line. Caller, I see you waiting. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Aaron.
Morning.
The thing is, we idolize America because America pays you for intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And that don't work over here. I wish y'all had like one of those voice anonymous things, because I'm sure you could recognize my voice by now. Frequent caller.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Bahamas, we learned that ignorance pays.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, during the silly season, as they call it, you see everybody acting more foolish than they usually would act on a normal election cycle, because ignorance pays, Aaron.
But no, okay,
So
hold on, pause. Stick a pin. You right there, though, but stick a pin. it's not just that ignorance pays, right? That what we've learned over time, that sometimes playing the fool is the most effective strategy, right? See, that's the character Shine in the Titanic. By the time the news got to New York that the Titanic was sinking, Shine was already back off the boat on Fifth Avenue. The way that Shine gets away with what he does is because Shine knows how to play the fool. What happened to us is we forgot that that's just a play. That's a ploy for a moment. We forgot, and we just started modeling the fool and not the strategy.
Precisely, Aaron. So right now, what is going on with the union, and it's not going to be the last time it's going to happen, is that people realizing now that the part they playing, the fool that they playing, ain't working no more. Because now where do we go? We in no man's land. Because from here, when they did the big protest in the square, and they had the prime minister, the photo op moment, everything was gearing towards silly season. And as soon as silly season dissipates, we can get back to business as usual, and people can put their hats on, and everybody going to start acting intelligent again. But I am a systemic caller, so I try to figure out what is the root of our problem. People need identity, Aaron. Stop playing the part just to get the breadcrumbs.
Listen,
let's change the way we think and the way we address these situations, and maybe we'll get a real change.
I got you. Thank you. I got to go to the next caller. But I can tell you what the problem is. We have more dollars than cents of self, identity, place, belonging, time. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. You still there? All right, caller. I am sorry I missed you. You there? Sure. Okay, there we go. Here's a text. Aaron, Haitians can't assess anything because based on my experience, they stay either putting my tire on back in front or putting on the wrong size tire. And this is just in the tire shop. I highly doubt they can build a ladder. Come on, that's foolishness. We know that's foolishness. Come on now. No. That's a sweeping generalization. Let me tell you why it's a sweeping generalization. Because I know 39 people plus a whole bunch of senior civil servants who can't seem to complete the public disclosure process every year. Pure ignorance and incompetence. It bothers me so. But of course, that's just a sweeping generalization, right? Yeah, we don't like those. What's wrong with us, Aaron? Bahamians are calling into your show with the most incredulous comments, completely blinded by political ignorance, and can't see any wrong with the current systems and governance, just mind-boggling. See, what happened? In the space that they're in, what they see in is correct to them, right? But that's because they're within the prevailing political culture. What we on the outside are doing, we just bothering them, we disrupting them, man. And why we can't just let them politicking and whatever. Keying and ka-ka-kaing. Why we always out here just nibbling away and nagging them. Here's another text. If the salary review is conducted for the regular civil servants that Belinda speaks of, it will reveal that 70% of the wealth of civil servants is being destroyed. I have that article. I don't have it on me, but I have it by Monday. It will show that civil servants are paid so little that they live in poverty and abject poverty. It said upper management can't live on the salary they make. The only difference is titles, but their living expenses are the same to live in the Bahamas. So if the study for management says the upper set are experiencing wealth destruction, what will it say about the lower levels with a fraction of the pay? Right. See, that's what I'm saying. Because the responsibility allowance isn't the only perk that they get, And we're not demonizing senior civil servants. That's not what we're doing. We're looking at ineffective policies and the unintended consequences of poor policy decision and making. Listen, we didn't get to all of the stories in today's paper, but we're not going to forget sickle cell patient left, quote, lying in urine, close quotes, overnight after surgery at PMH. Also, ranfully, lack of donations may force us to close doors. This is a place to put your money. Residential care facilities for children that have been orphaned or abandoned through no cause of their own. That's where we're going to put our focus, people. Read that article. You guys have a great weekend. The news is up next. And then Javago Lang is going to take you through the afternoon to Naughty. Y'all have a great weekend.